Have you ever felt like someone was slowly changing you, twisting your reality, making you question everything you once knew? It didn't happen all at once. It was subtle, like a slow creeping shadow. One moment, you felt cherished, special, even protected. The next, you felt small, confused, unsure of yourself. That's the power of manipulation. And if you've ever been caught in it, you know how dangerous it can be. Stay with me until the end of this video, because by the time you finish watching, you'll recognize the hidden tactics men use to control and break women down. You'll see the truth clearly. And most importantly, you'll know how to protect yourself. Here's the harsh reality. Not every man who enters your life has good intentions. Some don't love, they manipulate. They don't protect you, they possess you. And the worst part? It doesn't look like control in the beginning. It looks like love. It feels like care. It disguises itself as concern, as passion, as devotion. But underneath, it's a calculated strategy to weaken your mind, isolate your heart, and control your soul. Manipulative men don't come with warning signs. They don't tell you their intentions outright. They smile. They are charming. They learn your vulnerabilities. They figure out what makes you feel safe, and then they use it to build a prison around you. And because they make you feel special at first, you never see the trap closing in. Psychology tells us that the human mind craves love, connection, and belonging. That's why manipulation is so powerful. It doesn't use force, it uses emotion. It doesn't take from you immediately, gives first, only to take everything later. These men create an emotional addiction, where your happiness depends on their approval, their mood, their validation. They condition you to seek their love, even when it hurts. And here's where it gets even darker. Once they see that you've invested in them, once they feel that you need them, that's when the real control begins. That's when their love turns into a weapon. The compliments fade, and the criticisms begin. The warmth turns cold, and you start chasing their affection. The security they once provided is now dangled in front of you, given and taken away whenever they choose. It's a game of control. And the more you play, the more you lose yourself. But listen to me carefully. You were not put on this earth to be controlled by anyone. You were not created to be someone's emotional puppet. The moment you realize this, the moment you wake up to the truth, is the moment you take your power back. And that's exactly what we're going to do. By the time this video is over, you will know their tactics. You will see through their lies. And you will never let a man like this control you again, because knowledge is power. And once you have it, they can never take it away from you. Stay with me. We're just getting started. At first, it feels like a dream. He's the perfect man, showing you love, attention, and affection in ways you've always longed for. He listens to your every word, supports your dreams, and makes you feel like you're the center of his world. His compliments feel real. His gestures, thoughtful. And you think, this is it. This is the kind of love I deserve. But here's the cruel truth. It's all an illusion. It's not love, it's manipulation. The warm, caring actions are designed to make you trust him, to make you believe that he's the one you've been waiting for. At first, he showers you with all the right words, all the right moves, because he wants you to feel secure. He wants you to feel seen, heard, and special. But what you don't see is that every kind word, every sweet gesture is part of a plan to get under your skin, to make you depend on him emotionally. He's not trying to make you happy. He's trying to control how you feel. They learn the art of making you feel unique, like you're the only one who matters. They'll pay attention to your every word, pick up on your likes and dislikes, and use that knowledge to make you feel seen in a way no one else has ever done before. They give you compliments that seem deep, that seem true, and in those moments you can't help but feel like you've finally found someone who truly gets you. But this is where the manipulation starts. They give, they charm, they provide only to set you up for the moment when they begin to take. It's a slow process, like a spider weaving its web. At first it feels harmless, but little by little they use their knowledge of your deepest desires and fears to manipulate your emotions, to make you believe that you need them to feel whole. It's not love, it's control masked by affection. They feed your ego, stroke your insecurities, and make you feel like you're the only person who matters to them. Why? Because once you're hooked, once you've fallen for their version of love, they can start taking more from you. They get you to lean on them emotionally, making you believe that without them you won't be happy, won't be complete. You've probably noticed a shift by now. Once you've invested in the relationship, once you've given them your trust, those sweet gestures begin to fade. The compliments become scarce. Their attention becomes selective, only given when it benefits them. The connection that once felt so deep starts feeling shallow because it was never about love, it was about control. You may start to wonder, what happened? Wasn't this love? And that's exactly what they want. They want you questioning yourself, doubting your perception of what's real. They want you so wrapped up in the illusion of love that you can't see the reality of the situation. They want to manipulate your feelings so that you will cling to them, even when the truth is clear. They are taking more from you than they are giving. When a man manipulates with affection, he doesn't love you, he loves the control he has over you. And because of your natural desire for connection, for love, you start excusing their behavior. You start convincing yourself that it's okay, that you're being too sensitive, that the love they're showing you is still love. But deep down you know it's not. The real damage happens when you begin to depend on their version of love, because it isn't real. The moment you stop receiving that constant affection, you begin to feel lost. The absence of their praise, their attention, makes you feel incomplete, unsure, and vulnerable. That's when they come in again, offering just enough to keep you tied to them, making you feel like they're the only source of your happiness. But this isn't love. Real love doesn't require you to lose yourself. Real love doesn't make you question your worth. Real love doesn't use your insecurities against you. Real love lets you grow, lets you be who you are without fear of losing affection. Remember, you are worthy of love that makes you feel strong, not small. Real love empowers you, builds you up, and encourages your independence. The love you deserve doesn't come with strings attached. The illusion of love is the first step in a dangerous game, and the moment you see it for what it is, you begin to take back your power. One of the most dangerous tactics a manipulative man uses is gaslighting. You may have heard the term before, but do you truly understand what it means? Gaslighting is a psychological manipulation where he makes you question your own reality, your own memories, and even your sanity. It's a tactic used to make you feel confused, uncertain, and powerless. The more he uses it, the more you doubt yourself, and the more you depend on him for answers. At first, it starts small. Maybe he denies things he said or did, even though you clearly remember them. Maybe he turns simple situations into major arguments, leaving you wondering if you're the one who's overreacting. You might think, was I too sensitive? Maybe I misunderstood. These small doubts build over time, and before you know it, you begin second-guessing everything around you, even your own perception of reality. The key to gaslighting is that it makes you feel like you're losing control. In moments of clarity, when you know what happened or what was said, he will twist those facts until you doubt your very ability to trust your own mind. He'll make you feel like you're imagining things, like you're crazy for even questioning him. And here's the worst part: the more you question yourself, the less power you have. Imagine this scenario. He tells you something hurtful, and you confront him about it. His response? I never said that. You're remembering it wrong. You're left confused, unsure of whether you've overreacted or if maybe you didn't hear it correctly. Over time, this confusion starts to feel normal. You begin to apologize for things you didn't even do. You make excuses for his behavior, and slowly your confidence in your own thoughts begins to erode. This cycle continues, and soon you don't know what's real anymore. Every time you try to stand up for yourself, to express your feelings, he finds a way to turn it back on you. You feel like you're walking on eggshells, constantly worried about what he might say to make you doubt yourself. And because he's so good at making you feel like the problem, you start to believe that maybe you are the problem. You begin to accept his version of reality, even if it's wrong, because it's easier than fighting the constant confusion he creates. The power of gaslighting lies in how it isolates you from your own mind. You stop trusting yourself, and you become dependent on him to define what's true and what isn't. Every time you begin to see through the lies, he pushes you back into doubt, making you question your own worth, your sanity, your sense of reality. But this is where the turning point comes. The moment you recognize this tactic, the moment you realize that your reality isn't up for debate, you take back your power. You are not crazy. You are not imagining things. Your feelings, your thoughts, and your experiences are valid. No one should have the power to make you feel like you're losing touch with reality just because they want to control you. Gaslighting works because it feeds on your empathy and your desire for harmony in a relationship. You want to believe that the person you care about would never intentionally hurt you. You want to trust them, so you allow their version of events to override your own experience. But here's the truth. You are not crazy. Your perception is valid. You are allowed to have feelings, and you are allowed to stand firm in your truth. When gaslighting starts, it's a warning sign. It's not just a sign of a toxic relationship, it's a red flag that you are being manipulated and controlled. The moment you acknowledge this, you stop questioning yourself and start focusing on what's real. You begin to trust yourself again. You have the power to break free from this. Recognize the manipulation, reject the doubt he tries to instill in you, and stand firm in your truth. The more you trust your own mind, the more you reclaim control over your life. And once you regain that control, the power he once had over you begins to slip away. You are stronger than his lies. You probably experienced this. He's there one moment full of attention and affection, and then out of nowhere he pulls away. He becomes distant, cold, almost like a stranger. At first you might think something is wrong, that he's just going through something, or that it's just a temporary phase. But as time goes on, you realize that this emotional withdrawal isn't a coincidence. It's a tactic. It's another form of manipulation that plays on your deepest fears, the fear of abandonment, of being unloved. Emotional withdrawal is one of the most dangerous and silent forms of control. When a man withdraws emotionally, it leaves you in a constant state of uncertainty. You never know where you stand. One moment you're everything to him, and the next he shut you out completely. The contrast between his warmth and his coldness creates a mental and emotional roller coaster. You feel like you're always chasing him, always wondering what you did wrong to make him pull away. This is no accident. It's a calculated move. He knows that you need his approval, his affection, and his attention to feel validated. So when he withholds it, you become desperate to regain it. You start asking yourself, what did I do wrong? Why isn't he talking to me? Is he losing interest in me? The more you chase after him, the more power he gains over you. He knows that your emotions are now tied to his moods, that your sense of worth is hanging by a thread, waiting for him to give you that validation you crave. The key to emotional withdrawal is its ability to create insecurity. He withholds affection, not because he doesn't care, but because he knows it makes you question your value. The longer he stays emotionally distant, the more you find yourself second-guessing your worth. You begin to wonder if you're enough for him, if you've done something wrong, if he's even interested in you anymore. These thoughts begin to eat away at you, eroding your confidence, making you more dependent on his approval. And this is where the control happens. The moment he starts withdrawing emotionally, your need for his attention becomes amplified. You will find yourself working harder to get his affection back, doing things you wouldn't normally do just to see a spark of attention from him. You may start over-explaining yourself, apologizing for things you haven't done, or even changing aspects of yourself in the hopes of winning his approval again. But the cycle doesn't stop. He may give you brief moments of affection, just enough to keep you hooked, just enough to make you believe that the love you once had is still there. But it's only a temporary fix. The coldness returns, and you're back to chasing his approval once more. This back and forth creates a toxic pattern, one that leaves you feeling drained, confused, and emotionally unstable. The emotional roller coaster is designed to keep you off balance, to make you feel like you can't live without him, that your happiness is tied to his mood. But here's the truth. You are not meant to be a slave to anyone's emotional highs and lows. You are not meant to chase love that isn't freely given. Real love doesn't create insecurity. It builds trust. It fosters stability. If someone is constantly withdrawing from you, leaving you in a state of emotional limbo, they are not offering you love, they are using your emotions to control you. The moment you recognize this pattern is the moment you begin to take back your power. Stop chasing affection that isn't genuine. Stop questioning your worth based on someone else's emotional availability. You are deserving of someone who is emotionally present, someone who doesn't make you feel like you're constantly walking on eggshells. Your worth doesn't depend on how someone else treats you in moments of withdrawal. When you stop allowing this emotional manipulation to control you, you begin to reclaim your own emotional stability. You become less dependent on someone else's behavior for your happiness. And once you've broken free from this emotional game, you will realize just how much power you have over your own emotions, your own life. It's time to stop running after something that's not real. You are worthy of someone who loves you consistently, who makes you feel safe and valued, not someone who plays games with your heart. And the moment you recognize your own worth, that's when you stop letting anyone, no matter how charming or manipulative, control your emotional world. One of the most powerful tactics used to manipulate and control a woman is isolation. At first, it's subtle. He might make small comments about your friends or family. He might say things like, "I don't like how they treat you," or "I think they're just holding you back." These comments seem innocent, even caring at first, but the goal is much darker than it seems. Slowly, piece by piece, he is pushing you away from the people who love you most, your support system, and the moment he isolates you, that's when the control becomes absolute. You start to doubt your friends. You begin to believe that they don't understand you, or that they don't have your best interests at heart. You think that your relationship is the only thing that truly matters, and you begin to trust him more than anyone else. The more you lean into him, the more you push away others who might see the manipulation for what it is. It's a strategy that's designed to make you feel like you need him and only him. He isolates you from your support system so that he becomes the center of your world. At the same time, he feeds you a story that your friends or family are somehow a threat to your happiness. He may say things like, "They don't know what's best for you," or "They're just jealous of our relationship." This makes you feel guilty for spending time with anyone else. You begin to distance yourself from people who have always had your back, simply because he's planted seeds of doubt in your mind. It doesn't happen overnight, but over time you find yourself more and more alone. The isolation doesn't always happen in obvious ways. Sometimes it's as simple as making you feel guilty for needing time with others. He might tell you, "I just want to spend time with you. Why don't you ever make time for us?" Or, "Don't you care about me enough to be with me?" These statements play on your sense of obligation, making you feel like you're not a good partner if you don't prioritize him above all else. Slowly, your circle of friends and family starts to shrink, and he becomes the only one you rely on. At first, it might seem harmless. After all, you're in a relationship, and it makes sense to want to spend time together, right? But this manipulation is designed to cut you off from the outside world, to make you dependent on him for your happiness, your security, and your sense of worth. Without realizing it, you start to turn to him for every decision, for every emotional need, and for every affirmation. And the more you depend on him, the more he controls you. The isolation tactic is especially dangerous because it leaves you vulnerable. Without the support of others, you become isolated in your thoughts, isolated in your emotions, and isolated in your life. This is exactly what he wants. He doesn't want anyone else challenging his authority, questioning his behavior, or seeing the truth about what's happening. When you're cut off from your support system, there's no one to tell you that you deserve better, that you're being manipulated, or that this relationship isn't healthy. And as this isolation continues, you begin to feel more alone. You might not realize it right away, but over time, your emotional health starts to decline. You stop feeling like yourself. You stop feeling empowered, and you start to believe that the only person who can make you happy is him. But this is where the danger lies. The more isolated you are, the easier it is for him to control every aspect of your life, your thoughts, your feelings, and your actions. But here's the turning point. The moment you recognize that isolation is happening, you take back your power. You begin to reach out. You reconnect with those who truly care about you. You lean on your support system and allow them to remind you of who you are and what you deserve. The moment you step outside the bubble he's created for you, you see the manipulation for what it is. And that's when you start to break free. You were never meant to live in isolation. Your happiness, your worth, and your joy should never be dictated by someone else's control. You are stronger than the chains of isolation. The moment you start to rebuild your relationships with those who truly care, you will remember who you are, what you've been through, and that you deserve a love that lifts you up, not one that pulls you down. Don't let anyone isolate you from the people who have always had your back. Reclaim your support system. Reclaim your power. And know that you are worthy of a relationship where you can stand strong both with him and without him. At the beginning of the relationship, everything seems perfect. He showers you with affection, compliments, and attention. You feel special, loved, and appreciated. He's texting you constantly, calling you just to hear your voice, telling you things like, "I've never met anyone like you," or "You complete me." It feels like a dream come true, doesn't it? But this intense, overwhelming love is not always as genuine as it seems. This is what's known as love bombing, a manipulative tactic used to gain control over you by overwhelming you with affection and attention. Love bombing is dangerous because it creates an illusion of ideal love. In the beginning, you may feel like you found someone who truly cares about you, someone who sees your worth. His gestures might seem grand, expensive gifts, constant affection, and an overwhelming amount of praise. It's the kind of attention that makes you feel like the most important person in the world. But behind the facade, there's a hidden agenda. He's trying to win your trust, your affection, and your loyalty, all in one fell swoop. The key to love bombing is that it feels authentic. You may have been waiting for someone who loves you the way you've always dreamed, and here he is, giving you everything you want. But what you don't realize is that love bombing isn't about love, it's about control. He's building an emotional dependency on him. He's making you feel so special and so needed that eventually, when he begins to pull back, you'll feel like you can't live without him. As the love bombing continues, you start to believe that this is how real love should feel. You get used to being the center of his world. You begin to expect this constant attention and affection. But here's the trap. Love bombing is a cycle. It doesn't last forever. Once he has you hooked, once he's made you feel like you're irreplaceable, the love bombing begins to fade. The constant calls stop, the compliments become less frequent, and the attention you once received starts to dwindle. This is when the manipulation begins. The emotional withdrawal that follows love bombing is a tactic to make you feel like you need him more. You start to wonder, why isn't he treating me the same way he did before? What did I do wrong? You may even start to feel insecure or unworthy of the attention you once received. He knows exactly what he's doing. He's deliberately creating a void in your life, making you crave the affection and attention that was once freely given. And when you start to chase it again, he pulls back even further, keeping you in a constant state of emotional uncertainty. The shift from love bombing to emotional withdrawal is where the real manipulation begins. When he's not showering you with attention, you feel empty. You begin to doubt yourself. You feel anxious, worried that you've done something wrong or that you're losing his love. But all of these feelings are manufactured by him. He wants you to feel needy. He wants you to believe that without his love, you are nothing. And in this emotional turmoil, he gains more control over you. This is why love bombing is so dangerous. It doesn't just make you feel good for a short time, it builds a dependency that makes it hard to leave when the manipulation begins. You've become so emotionally invested that you can't imagine being without him. The compliments, the attention, the gifts, they've all created an emotional bond that's hard to break. But here's the truth you need to understand. True love is not about constant praise and attention that fades. True love is about consistency, respect, and emotional security. True love doesn't manipulate you into feeling like you're worthless without it. You deserve a relationship where affection is real, steady, and mutual, not a relationship built on emotional manipulation. The moment you realize you're caught in the love bombing cycle is the moment you begin to take control. Recognize the manipulation for what it is and free yourself from the emotional grip he's placed on you. Real love doesn't come with strings attached. It doesn't come with manipulation. It doesn't fade when you've become emotionally dependent. You are worthy of a love that is stable, true, and empowering. The power to break free from love bombing is within you. Don't let anyone, no matter how charming or affectionate, make you feel like you can't live without them. Your worth is not determined by someone else's temporary affection. You are complete and valuable on your own. Once you break free from the cycle of love bombing, you will see your true strength and realize that you can stand tall, independent of anyone who tries to control your emotions. Have you ever felt like something was off, but when you tried to express your feelings, he made you feel like you were crazy or imagining things? It's frustrating, confusing, and leaves you questioning your own mind. This is the core of a manipulative tactic known as gaslighting, a psychological form of control, where someone makes you doubt your own reality, your memories, and even your sanity. Gaslighting begins slowly, almost imperceptibly. At first, it might be small comments like, "Are you sure that's what happened?" Or, "I never said that." He may even deny things that are clearly true, forcing you to question your perception of events. It's as if he's trying to rewrite history, and you're left wondering whether you're the one who's wrong. Over time, these subtle manipulations escalate, creating an environment where you start second-guessing everything you once knew to be true. This tactic is so effective because it erodes your sense of self. It makes you feel like you're the one who's at fault, like you're the one who's overreacting or being too sensitive. Gaslighting targets your confidence, causing you to doubt your own instincts and judgment. Every time you question him, he shifts the blame back onto you, making you feel like you're the problem. You start to wonder if maybe, just maybe, you really are overreacting, or if your feelings aren't as valid as you once thought. The impact of gaslighting is profound. It leaves you trapped in your own mind, unable to trust your own thoughts or feelings. You start to feel like you can't make decisions without him. You may even start to apologize for things you didn't do, or accept blame for things that weren't your fault. Gaslighting turns the tables, making you responsible for the very things that he's done. It's a cruel psychological tactic designed to strip you of your power and make you entirely dependent on his version of reality. The worst part of gaslighting is that it's insidious. It doesn't happen all at once. He creeps into your life over time. You may start noticing small inconsistencies in his stories or behavior, but each time you bring them up, he denies them, leaving you feeling uncertain. And when you doubt yourself enough, you stop trusting your intuition. You begin to believe that his version of events is the only truth that matters. This manipulation creates a vicious cycle where you're constantly trying to prove yourself right while he continues to distort your perception. But here's the truth you need to realize. You are not crazy. Your feelings, your perceptions, and your experiences are real. Gaslighting is designed to make you doubt yourself, but the power to reclaim your reality is within you. The first step to breaking free from this psychological manipulation is to recognize it for what it is. Gaslighting is a deliberate tactic used to undermine your confidence, and you have the strength to resist it. The more you trust yourself and your instincts, the less power he has over you. You have the right to speak your truth and stand by it. If he's trying to make you feel like you're wrong or imagining things, it's not because you are, it's because he's trying to manipulate your mind to keep you under his control. And here's a crucial reminder. No one should make you feel like you're crazy for expressing your feelings or sharing your reality. Your emotions are valid. Your experiences are valid. Don't let anyone make you doubt your own truth. Gaslighting thrives in secrecy and silence, but once you start trusting yourself, you begin to break free from its grip. Recognize it, confront it, and take back your power. Breaking free from gaslighting is a journey. It starts with acknowledging that you deserve to be heard, respected, and believed. You deserve to trust your own reality. When you do, you'll no longer be at the mercy of his manipulation. Your mind, your feelings, and your reality belong to you. And no one has the right to take that away. Have you ever felt manipulated by someone who seemed to know exactly what buttons to press to get what they wanted? Emotional blackmail is a powerful weapon used to control a person by preying on their emotions, fears, and love. It's not always obvious at first, but when you start noticing the pattern, you begin to understand the devastating impact it can have on your sense of self and your emotional well-being. Emotional blackmail often begins when he senses your vulnerability, your love for him, your desire to make him happy, or your fear of losing him. It's like a game where he uses your deepest feelings to force you into doing what he wants. He may threaten to withdraw affection, or even worse, to leave you if you don't comply with his demands. If you really love me, you do this. Or, I don't know if I can be with someone who can't make me happy, are common phrases used to manipulate you emotionally. The message is clear. Your love is conditional, and if you don't do what he wants, you will lose it. The real power of emotional blackmail lies in the fear of loss. He knows you care about him deeply, and he knows that the thought of losing him can stir up intense anxiety and fear. So, when you don't meet his expectations, he threatens to pull away or give you the silent treatment, making you feel like you're unworthy of his love unless you give in. This pressure forces you into a place where you feel like you have no choice but to do whatever it takes to keep him happy, often at the expense of your own needs and desires. Emotional blackmail can take many forms. It could be the classic guilt trip. I've sacrificed so much for you and this is how you repay me? Or it could be the fear tactic. I'm not sure I can keep doing this if you don't change. He may even try to manipulate you into feeling sorry for him, making you believe that his unhappiness is your fault. This constant manipulation creates a sense of obligation that is difficult to shake. You start to feel like you owe him your happiness, your peace, and your compliance. The reason emotional blackmail works so well is that it targets your insecurities and your desire for approval. You don't want to lose the person you love, and you fear that if you don't meet his needs, you will be abandoned. This fear is a powerful motivator, and it can cause you to second-guess your choices and prioritize his demands over your own well-being. But this is where the manipulation thrives. It creates a false sense of responsibility, making you believe that his happiness is your sole duty. Here's the hard truth. You are not responsible for someone else's happiness. His emotional well-being is his responsibility, not yours. The moment you allow emotional blackmail to control your actions, you give up your own agency, and your happiness becomes entangled with his. This leads to a toxic, unhealthy dynamic where you are constantly walking on eggshells, worried about his reactions, and putting your own desires and emotions aside to avoid conflict. Emotional blackmail is not love. Love does not manipulate or force you into submission. True love supports your individuality, your happiness, and your freedom. It doesn't use your vulnerabilities against you. When someone truly loves you, they do not hold your emotions hostage to get what they want. They want to see you happy, they want to see you grow, and they want to support you, not control you. The moment you recognize emotional blackmail for what it is, you begin to reclaim your power. You have the right to set boundaries. You have the right to say no without feeling guilty. You have the right to prioritize your own happiness and well-being, even if it means standing up to him. The more you stand firm in your own truth, the less power he has over your emotions. Breaking free from emotional blackmail is not easy, but it is possible. It begins with recognizing that your love should never be used as leverage. You deserve a relationship where love is unconditional, where respect is mutual, and where your emotions are never manipulated. Don't let anyone convince you that you are responsible for their happiness. You are worthy of love that lifts you up, not one that weighs you down with fear and guilt. Have you ever noticed how someone might slowly begin to pull you away from your friends and family, making you feel like they don't understand you the way he does? This is one of the most subtle yet powerful manipulation tactics used to gain control. Isolation. At first, it may seem harmless. Maybe he doesn't like your friends or insists that you spend more time with him. You may think it's just a sign that he cares about you, but over time this isolation can become a trap, leaving you disconnected from the people who truly care about you. Isolation begins with small, seemingly innocent requests. He might say, "Why don't you spend more time with me? I miss you." Or he might criticize your friends or family, telling you they don't treat you well or that they don't have your best interests at heart. At first you may brush it off, thinking it's just jealousy or a lack of understanding. But as the weeks and months pass, you begin to see less of your loved ones, and you start to rely on him more and more. You stop reaching out to friends because you're too busy with him, and You begin to doubt if anyone else understands you like he does. The more isolated you become, the more dependent you are on him. This is exactly what he wants. He wants to be the center of your world, the only one you turn to for validation, comfort, and emotional support. The more you disconnect from your support system, the more vulnerable you become to his manipulation. Without the outside perspective of friends or family, it's easier for him to control how you think and feel. When you are isolated, he becomes the only voice you hear, and you start to believe that the world outside of him is not worth paying attention to. This isolation isn't just physical, it's emotional as well. He might make you feel guilty for spending time with others, or he may create drama when you try to maintain those relationships. I feel like you care more about your friends than you care about me, he might say. These statements make you feel torn between your love for him and your love for the people who have always been there for you. But this is manipulation, plain and simple. He's making you choose him over everything else. And with each choice you make, you're giving him more control over your life. The problem with isolation is that it not only removes your emotional support system, but it also distorts your perception of reality. Without outside influences, you start to see things through his lens. If he's always telling you that your friends or family don't have your best interests at heart, you begin to doubt their motives. You begin to question your relationships with them, and before long you find yourself alone, with him as your only source of emotional connection. This is the perfect setup for manipulation. But here's the truth. You are never meant to walk through life alone. You deserve a relationship where your individuality is celebrated, where your connections with others are respected, and where your support system remains strong and intact. True love does not isolate you, it strengthens you by encouraging you to grow, connect, and thrive with others. If you start to notice that he's slowly pulling you away from your loved ones, it's time to ask yourself, why is he trying to control who I spend my time with? If someone truly loves you, they want you to have strong, healthy relationships outside of your connection with them. They want you to be supported by people who care about you, just as they care about you. Isolation is a tactic designed to weaken you, to make you feel like you only need him, but the truth is, you are stronger when you surround yourself with people who genuinely care about you. If you find yourself feeling lonely and disconnected from your friends and family, it's time to take a step back and evaluate the relationship. Don't let someone convince you that your loved ones are the problem when it's the manipulation that's truly damaging. Your friends and family are there for a reason. They love you for who you are, not for what you can do for them. You don't have to choose between your relationship and your support system. You deserve both. Breaking free from isolation takes courage, but it is so important. Reclaim your time with your friends and family. Reconnect with the people who have always had your back. You are not alone in this world, and you don't have to accept a relationship that tries to make you feel that way. True strength lies in knowing that you are worthy of love, support, and connection with others. Don't let anyone isolate you. Stand firm, stay connected, and surround yourself with people who empower you to be the best version of yourself. Have you ever experienced the cold, deafening silence from someone you care about? The silence that feels more powerful than any words. This is a manipulation tactic known as the silent treatment, and it's a destructive way to control someone emotionally. It's not just about ignoring you, it's about making you feel invisible, unimportant, and worst of all, forcing you to beg for attention and validation. At first, the silent treatment might feel like a passive form of punishment. Maybe he stops responding to your texts, refuses to speak to you for hours, or even days. You might think that he's just upset or needs space, but over time, you begin to realize that it's a strategic move to manipulate your emotions and control the relationship. The silence feels like a wall, and the more you try to break through it, the harder it becomes. This tactic works because it taps into your deepest fears, the fear of abandonment, the fear of being ignored, and the fear of not being worthy of attention or love. You begin to question yourself, wondering what you did wrong, what you said that upset him, and why he's not acknowledging you. The longer the silence lasts, the more you crave any form of communication from him, even if it's just a simple word or gesture. You start to feel desperate for his validation, for his recognition that you matter. And that's exactly what he wants. The silent treatment doesn't just silence communication, it forces you to give in to his control. You feel compelled to apologize, even when you don't know what you're apologizing for. You try to fix things to make him speak to you again, because the silence makes you feel like you've done something unforgivable. You begin to believe that you need him to end the silence, that you need his approval to feel whole. But here's the painful truth. The silent treatment is not about you, it's about him asserting power over you. It's a way for him to control the relationship without having to say a word. He's using your need for connection and validation against you, making you chase after him to end the emotional distance. The longer you chase, the more you give up your own sense of worth, placing it entirely in his hands. What's even more dangerous is how the silent treatment can distort your sense of reality. You start to doubt yourself, your actions, and your worth. The longer the silence continues, the more you internalize his behavior, thinking that you must have done something wrong to deserve it. You begin to believe that you are unworthy of his attention or love, when in reality, it's his manipulation that is making you feel this way. In these moments, you must remind yourself of a fundamental truth. You are worthy of respect and communication. No one should make you feel like you are invisible or unworthy of their attention. The silent treatment is a weapon designed to break down your confidence and make you question your own value. But you do not need to chase after someone who withholds their presence to control you. The key to breaking free from the silent treatment is to stop seeking validation from someone who uses silence as a form of punishment. When you stop chasing, you stop giving them the power to manipulate you. Instead of asking what you did wrong, ask yourself what you deserve. You deserve to be in a relationship where communication flows freely, where your feelings are acknowledged and respected, and where you are never left wondering why someone isn't speaking to you. You deserve someone who values your presence and makes you feel heard, not someone who silences you to gain control. Remember, silence can be a weapon, but it doesn't have to silence your self-worth. The more you stand firm in your own value, the less power this tactic has over you. You are worthy of love, respect, and genuine communication. Don't let anyone manipulate you with silence. Claim your voice and refuse to accept any relationship that uses withholding as a form of control. Have you ever felt like you were losing touch with reality, like you were questioning your own memory, perception, or even sanity? If so, you may have experienced gaslighting, one of the most insidious forms of manipulation. This tactic is designed to make you doubt your own reality, leaving you confused, unsure, and vulnerable to control. It's not always overt. Sometimes it's so subtle that you don't even realize it's happening until it's too late. Gaslighting begins with small, seemingly innocent lies. He might tell you something that you know isn't true, but you dismiss it because it's such a small detail. At first, it doesn't seem like a big deal, but over time, these small lies start to add up. The more he denies the truth, the more you begin to question your own recollection of events. He might say things like, "You're remembering that wrong," or "That's not how it happened." Each time he challenges your version of reality, it plants a seed of doubt in your mind. As gaslighting continues, the manipulation becomes more extreme. He might deny things you saw with your own eyes, or twist the facts to make you feel like you're imagining things. He might even turn things around and accuse you of being paranoid, irrational, or overly sensitive. The goal is to make you feel like you're the problem and that everything you believe is wrong. This psychological manipulation can be incredibly damaging. Over time, you start to lose trust in yourself. You begin to second-guess your memories, your decisions, and your emotions. You might even start to believe that you're going crazy. Gaslighting isn't just about lying, it's about breaking down your sense of self and replacing your reality with his. He wants to be the authority on your life, and by controlling your perception, he gains that power. But here's the truth. You are not crazy, and your perceptions are valid. No one has the right to distort your reality, especially not someone who claims to love you. The more you start to recognize gaslighting for what it is, the more you can take back control of your own thoughts and beliefs. You deserve to trust your own instincts, and you don't need someone else to define your reality for you. One of the most damaging effects of gaslighting is that it erodes your confidence. If you start to believe that you're constantly wrong, you'll begin to doubt your ability to make decisions or stand up for yourself. You might even start to feel like you don't deserve respect or love, and that you're always in the wrong. But this is the manipulation at work. Gaslighting creates a false narrative where you are always the problem, and he is always the one with the answers. Breaking free from gaslighting requires you to reconnect with your own truth. You have the right to feel what you feel and believe what you believe. If you remember an event happening a certain way, that is your truth, regardless of how he tries to twist it. You are not obligated to question your sanity just because someone else says so. You are allowed to trust your own experiences and perspectives. The first step in protecting yourself from gaslighting is to recognize it. When you begin to notice patterns of manipulation, when someone constantly denies what you know to be true, or makes you feel like you're overreacting, it's time to step back and evaluate the situation. Gaslighting thrives in confusion, and by recognizing the tactic, you weaken its power. Trust your own voice. If something feels off, it probably is. Your instincts are a powerful tool, and you deserve to listen to them without fear of being invalidated. Remember, gaslighting is not your fault. No one has the right to make you feel like you're crazy for seeing the world as it truly is. Stand firm in your reality, and don't let anyone take that from you. You are not just allowed to have your own perspective, you have the right to it. Protect your truth, because it is the foundation of who you are. Have you ever felt overwhelmed by someone's affection to the point where it almost felt too good to be true? At first, it might seem like a dream come true, the constant attention, the sweet words, the grand gestures of love. But eventually, you start to notice something unsettling. This constant affection, the endless praise, and the whirlwind romance seem to have one common goal: to make you dependent on them. This is known as love bombing, and it's one of the most effective manipulation tactics used to control your emotions. The manipulator bombards you with excessive praise, gifts, and promises in the early stages of a relationship. They make you feel like you're the most special person in the world, creating an intense emotional connection almost overnight. The overwhelming attention feels flattering, and you begin to believe that this person truly understands and cares for you in a way no one ever has before. But love bombing is not real. Love, it's a strategy to gain control over you. The manipulator showers you with affection to create an emotional dependency. They want to make you feel like you can't live without them, that no one else can offer you the kind of attention or validation they do. The goal is simple: to make you emotionally attached, to get you hooked on their approval, and ultimately to control your actions and decisions. At the start, you might feel on top of the world. Everything seems perfect. You might think, this is the relationship I've always dreamed of. And it feels real, because the affection is constant and the promises feel genuine. But the darker side of love bombing emerges when the intensity of affection begins to wane. Once you're emotionally attached and invested, the manipulator starts to pull back. The texts aren't as frequent, the sweet words become less common, and the affection becomes scarce. This sudden shift leaves you confused and anxious. You begin to wonder what happened, why the attention has faded. The love bombing phase was intoxicating, and now you're left craving it, willing to do anything to get it back. The key here is understanding that the absence of affection is not a mistake or a sign of emotional fatigue. It's part of the tactic. The manipulator withholds affection to make you crave it even more. You begin to feel anxious and insecure, constantly trying to figure out what went wrong, what you can do to win back the love and attention they once showered you with. This creates a dangerous cycle where you constantly seek validation from someone who is withholding it. You start to lose sight of your own needs and wants, constantly putting them ahead of your own emotional health. The emotional roller coaster going from intense love and affection to coldness and withdrawal leaves you feeling drained and uncertain. But the manipulator knows exactly what they're doing. By keeping you in a state of uncertainty, they keep you chasing after their approval, constantly working for their affection. The truth is, real love is consistent. It doesn't come in waves. It's not about sweeping you off your feet one minute and pulling away the next. Healthy relationships are built on mutual respect, trust, and understanding, not manipulation. When someone's affection is used as a tool to control you, it's not love. It's a tactic designed to make you feel dependent and emotionally fragile. The most important step in recognizing love bombing is to slow down and pay attention to the patterns. Real love doesn't overwhelm you with constant praise and promises. It grows steadily, rooted in respect and genuine connection. If someone is constantly flattering you, giving you excessive attention, and making you feel like the center of their world, ask yourself why. Is this person showing real, consistent affection, or are they using charm as a way to control your emotions? Once you recognize love bombing for what it is, you can begin to take back control over your emotional well-being. Understand that you don't need constant validation from someone else to feel worthy. Your worth isn't determined by someone's ability to shower you with affection. It's innate, independent of anyone's opinion or approval. Don't let someone manipulate your emotions by using love as a weapon. True love is built on respect, mutual support, and trust. If someone is using love to manipulate you, it's time to step back, recognize the pattern, and reclaim your emotional independence. You deserve love that lifts you up, not love that keeps you trapped in a cycle of insecurity and dependency. Remember, real love is not about keeping you hooked, it's about building something lasting and true. Have you ever noticed how suddenly your friends and family seem less important in a relationship? At first, it might seem like your partner just wants more quality time with you, but over time, you begin to feel more and more isolated from those you once depended on. This is a manipulation tactic known as isolation, and it's one of the most effective ways to gain control over someone. Isolation works slowly. It starts with subtle suggestions about how your time would be better spent together, away from distractions. They might criticize your friends or family, claiming that they don't understand you the way they do or that they don't have your best interests at heart. The goal is to make you doubt the loyalty and support of the people closest to you, creating a divide between you and your support system. When someone successfully isolates you from others, they become your only source of emotional fulfillment and validation. At first, the isolation feels flattering. The idea that your partner wants to spend all their time with you seems like a sign of affection. But as this pattern continues, you begin to lose touch with those who truly care about you. Your friends may stop inviting you out, your family may sense the distance, and you might feel alone, not knowing who to turn to. The manipulator knows this, and that's exactly what they want. They want to be the center of your world, the only person you rely on, the only person who can fulfill your emotional needs. But isolation doesn't just separate you from others physically. It also breaks down your ability to think independently. As your connection with friends and family weakens, you begin to depend more on your partner for emotional support. This creates a dangerous dynamic where your partner is no longer just a source of affection. They become the source of all your validation, your emotional stability, and even your sense of self-worth. The more isolated you become, the less likely you are to see the manipulation happening around you. Without the input of others, it's easy to lose perspective. You start to doubt your own judgment because your partner has become your sole reality. The manipulator knows that once you no longer have your support system, you are more likely to accept whatever they say, no matter how wrong or damaging it may be. But isolation isn't always overt. It's not always about a partner demanding you cut ties with others outright. Sometimes it's more subtle. They might make you feel guilty for spending time with family or act jealous when you talk to friends. The manipulation is hidden beneath the surface, disguised as care or concern. They might say things like, "I feel like you don't care about me when you spend time with them," or "I just want you to be myself because I love you so much." Slowly, you begin to feel torn between the two: your partner, who claims to love you, and the people you've known and trusted for years. This is the perfect storm for manipulation. You start to feel guilty for maintaining relationships outside of the one with your partner, and the guilt pushes you further into their arms. The manipulator knows how to use your emotions to trap you, making you feel like you're being selfish or inconsiderate for prioritizing anyone else over them. What started as innocent time spent together becomes a way to entrap you emotionally. The first step in breaking free from isolation is recognizing it for what it is. If you start feeling guilty for spending time with friends or family, or if you notice that your partner's behavior is making you feel increasingly dependent on them, that's a red flag. True love and healthy relationships support your independence, not take it away. You should never have to choose between the person you love and the people who have always had your back. It's important to reconnect with your support system, reach out to the friends and family who truly care about you, and remember that their perspective is valuable. A healthy relationship will never demand that you abandon the people who matter most to you. If anything, it will encourage you to stay connected because a loving partner knows the importance of a well-rounded support system. Your worth is not determined by the opinions or validation of just one person. You are strong, capable, and valuable whether your partner recognizes it or not. Don't let isolation rob you of your independence or your sense of self. The more you surround yourself with people who lift you up, the more you'll remember who you are, and the less you'll tolerate manipulative behavior that seeks to tear you down. You deserve love that empowers you, not love that confines you. Don't let anyone convince you that you have to choose between the people who truly care for you and a relationship built on control. Your support system is your strength. Never let anyone take that away. Have you ever felt like something wasn't quite right, but when you tried to bring it up, you were made to feel like you were the problem? You might have experienced a situation where you know what you saw or heard, but someone else tells you that you're wrong, and suddenly you start doubting your own memories and perceptions. This is the core of gaslighting, a psychological manipulation tactic designed to make you question your reality, your memories, and even your sanity. Gaslighting works by slowly eroding your confidence in your own thoughts and perceptions. It's a subtle tactic, one that doesn't always start with big lies or grand gestures. It starts with small, seemingly harmless comments that dismiss your feelings or experiences. They might tell you things like, "You're being too sensitive," or "That didn't happen the way you think it did." These dismissals make you feel crazy for trusting your own instincts. Over time, this type of manipulation chips away at your sense of self, making you question your own judgment. At first, you might dismiss these comments thinking, "Maybe I am being a little too sensitive." But as the manipulation continues, you begin to doubt your ability to trust yourself. The more often someone tells you that your reality isn't real, the more likely you are to internalize these doubts. You might start second-guessing everything, your memory, your feelings, your decisions. You may even begin to question whether you're overreacting or whether you're just imagining things. The manipulator thrives on this confusion. They want to make you so unsure of your own mind that you start to rely solely on them for answers. Gaslighting doesn't just make you question your perception of events, it also attacks your self-worth. The manipulator will often twist your words or actions, making you feel like you're the one causing the problem. They might say things like, "If you didn't act this way, maybe things would be different," or "You're always overreacting." I never said that. The goal is to shift the blame onto you, making you feel responsible for things that aren't your fault. Over time, you may start to believe that you're the one who is always wrong, that you're somehow flawed or incapable of understanding what's going on. But gaslighting goes beyond just manipulating the truth. It also isolates you from the people who could help you. When your perception of reality is in constant flux, it's harder to explain things to others. You start to question whether your friends or family would even believe you if you tried to talk about it. This makes you less likely to seek outside help and more likely to stay trapped in the toxic relationship. The manipulator's goal is to create a world where you're alone, unsure of what's real, and entirely dependent on them to guide your emotions and thoughts. The truth is, gaslighting is a tactic used to control and manipulate. It's not about love, care, or concern, it's about power. The manipulator wants to dictate your reality, making you rely on them for validation, even if it means distorting the truth or denying your experiences. The emotional toll of gaslighting is profound. It doesn't just hurt your relationship, it destroys your self-esteem, your confidence, and your ability to trust yourself. So how do you break free from gaslighting? The first step is to trust your own perception and acknowledge that your feelings are valid. If something feels wrong, it probably is. You don't have to question yourself just because someone else is trying to make you feel crazy. Begin to take note of the things that don't feel right. Write down what happens, how it makes you feel, and whether the manipulator tries to convince you that you're wrong. Recognize the pattern of behavior for what it is: manipulation. It's also crucial to seek outside perspectives. Talk to people you trust, friends, family, or a counselor about what you're experiencing. Having a support system reminds you that your feelings are real and your perception is valid. Don't let someone else define your reality. You have the right to trust your own thoughts and experiences. Remember, gaslighting is a tactic, not a truth. It's meant to control and manipulate, not to protect you or care for you. If someone is making you doubt yourself, it's time to take a step back and reevaluate the relationship. You deserve to be in a space where your thoughts and feelings are respected, where you can trust yourself and your reality without fear of being manipulated. Take back your power. You don't have to live in confusion. You are capable of knowing what's real, and you deserve to be treated with respect. Don't let anyone make you question your worth or your ability to perceive the truth. You are not crazy. You are strong, capable, and worthy of a love that is honest and transparent. It's not always easy to recognize manipulation when you're in the middle of it. The emotional pull of a toxic relationship can cloud your judgment, making it hard to see the signs for what they are. But now that you understand the tactics of manipulation, whether it's isolation, gaslighting, or emotional control, you can begin to spot the red flags early, before they strip away your sense of self and power. The first step in reclaiming your power is awareness. Now that you know what manipulation looks like, you can recognize it in the moment. Pay attention to how you feel in the relationship. Do you often feel confused or unsure of yourself? Are you second-guessing your reality or constantly apologizing for things you didn't do wrong? These are clear indicators that something is off. Trust your instincts and don't dismiss your feelings as being too sensitive or overreacting. You are not crazy. Your feelings are real and they are valid. Once you recognize the signs of manipulation, the next step is setting boundaries. Manipulators thrive when there are no boundaries, when they can push you to the point where you're completely dependent on them. Boundaries are essential for protecting your emotional and mental well-being. This can be as simple as saying no to behavior that makes you uncomfortable, or distancing yourself from someone who constantly makes you question your worth. Don't be afraid to stand firm. Your peace of mind is worth it. It's also important to remember that you are not responsible for someone else's behavior. Manipulators will often make you feel guilty for their actions, shifting the blame onto you. But the truth is, you can't control their behavior, but you can control how you respond to it. You have the power to choose how much access they have to your emotional energy. Take back that control. You don't have to stay in a situation that makes you feel small or insignificant. One of the most powerful things you can do is seek help. Talk to someone you trust, friends, family, or a therapist about what you're going through. Manipulation thrives in secrecy, so opening up to someone else can help break the cycle. Don't let shame or fear stop you from reaching out. You deserve support and guidance, and there is no weakness in asking for help when you need it. Another key step in reclaiming your power is prioritizing yourself and your well-being. You don't need anyone else to validate your worth. Your value is not determined by how much you give to others or how much you can endure. You are worthy of respect, love, and care just as you are. Take time to reconnect with your true self outside of the relationship. Do things that make you feel strong, empowered, and fulfilled. Rebuild your confidence, and remember that you are whole without anyone else's approval. If you're in a toxic relationship, know that you don't have to stay. You are allowed to walk away from situations that diminish your self-worth. Reclaim your power and rebuild your life. You don't have to tolerate manipulation, gaslighting, or any form of control. You have the strength to break free and create a life filled with love, respect, and self-respect. As you move forward, always remember, you are worthy of a relationship that empowers you, not one that diminishes you. You deserve a love that builds you up, not one that breaks you down. And the most important thing you can do is choose to walk away from anything that makes you feel less than whole. If you found this video helpful, Make sure to like, share, and subscribe. By sharing this content, you help spread the message of empowerment and self-worth to others who may need it. Leave a comment below to share your thoughts or experiences. Story matters. You're not alone in this journey. Together, we can create a community where self-respect, independence, and love thrive. Take control of your life today because you are worthy of everything good that is coming your way.